Short disclaimer, I don't send hate to anybody in this video, and just enjoy. So I will be reacting / giving my commentary, my thoughts on this video. It's about pretty privilege, but also I will get into a bit of what I call spiritual golems or spiritual husks, rocks, whatever you want to call them, and the differentiation between tools, methods, and actual beings. Okay, you will see later in this video, I already watched it, she will talk about the algorithm as if it's some physical thing that has its own thought. So let's get into it. I will speed the video up just quite a little bit because she is not talking that fast.
Okay, so pretty privilege.
I just saw a video that said pretty privilege is so real because you can be as weird as you want, but if you're hot, you're still gonna get invited places and you're not gonna be a weird girl. You're still gonna be hot.
Pretty privilege is such a real thing. Why? Because pretty girls do not have to spend that much money on clothing or accessories. Why, you might ask? Because the face is the outfit. When you're pretty, no one's looking at your fucking outfit. Let's be so fucking for real. They're looking at your face. Because you're pretty.
Pretty privilege is so intriguing to me because as long as you're attractive, basically any of your bad traits can be seen as a good thing.
So weird though, you can be as weird as you want. It's completely overlooked. You're just hot. Like, how did that happen?
It's everywhere in TikTok right now, and honestly, it's not just some random trend. It's a real social thing that affects tons of people every single day. We'd like to think today that it's all about personality, talent, or what you create, right? But nope. When it comes to social media...
Okay, yeah. And she's totally right. Okay? She's totally right. First step of understanding the problem. Now, I believe this video is from last year. It's almost a year old. I believe sometime in May. I just stumbled upon this 1 day ago, yesterday. So she's acknowledging, okay, there is pretty privilege and they get advantages. Why is this such an unpopular opinion? Okay, what you have to understand is that people want to believe that every person is the same and has inherent value that is the same, or perceived value that is the same, because as I will get into later, blank slatism is really big in culture and academic media and academics in general. So let's watch further.
How you look still holds massive power. So today I want to dive into what pretty privilege actually means, how it plays out on TikTok, and why it's kind of harmful, not just for people who don't fit into these narrow beauty standards, but even for those who do. So what is pretty privilege anyway? It's basically all the advantages people get just...
Yeah. Unearned and mostly acknowledged society advantages a person has by fitting into the beauty standards of their culture. Okay. So, there already is a problem with this definition because it relies on the idea that beauty standards are based on culture. They are not. Not everything, but in general, across cultures, people like symmetric faces. And, for example, we can see this with big butts and big boobs. And having huge amount of muscle, not like Marcus Rühl levels, but like Henry Cavill levels, or not every woman, but most women, because there's almost a universal standard that applies to beauty. Other things like light skin or dark skin, depending on the culture, is culturally relevant, because you see in Asia, light skin is something good, and in some African communities having dark skin, really dark skin, is seen as more attractive. Also, having clear skin versus non-clear skin is also a clear sign of attractiveness. Facial symmetry, symmetry of the body, how healthy you look, like your skin. If it's like really, it doesn't look healthy if it's grayish, not white, like light skin, really light skin, but grayish. You can also have dark skin people with gray skin, all these. So this starts off with the wrong definition, or a heavily biased definition that puts all the beauty standards on the culture and not differentiates between the universal standards and the cultural standards. That's watching further.
Because they're considered attractive by society standards, but, and it is really important, these standards are super narrow and honestly kind of exclusive. Especially on TikTok, pretty usually means fitting this Western Eurocentric ideal, like being tall, thin, white, flawless skin, basically the picture perfect look you see everywhere. And the crazy thing? People who fit that mode get treated way better. They get more likes, more followers, better job opportunities, sometimes even freebies, all because of their appearance. Meanwhile, people who don't fit that mode might be ignored or even face outright discrimination. And it's unfair, but unfortunately that's real. You've probably seen Pretty Privilege blowing up on TikTok. It's actually got over 150 million views. That's insane. It's out there in the open with creators sharing their real experiences. Like Medline Ford, a Canadian model who talks about how her looks have literally gotten her free.
That's what I mean. She is very attractive to like European beauty standards because of the hair. She's thin, she's tall. Thin and tall is also like one semi-universal thing of the beauty standards, but she's thin, blonde, she has light skin. It's clean. Like, go back a bit. She has very clear skin, or it looks clear because of the makeup she uses. She has light skin. But it's not grayish, it's healthy, it looks healthy. No?
Model who talks about how her looks have literally gotten her free meals, beauty products, and VIP treatment at events. But it's not all glam. Some creators have posted side-by-side videos showing how their social experiences changed dramatically after physical makeover. Suddenly, they were getting kindness, attention, opportunities they never had before. And it shows just how much your appearance can shape your whole social experience. And that's kind of wild, right?
Okay. So, she thinks, because they have an unfair advantage, it's not earned or anything, that this can be turned off. Okay. What she doesn't realize is, because I assume she's intelligent, above the average at least, what she doesn't realize that about 80% of people on 70, 60, if you're willing to go that low, are spiritually and mentally rocks. Okay. They have no real capacity to consciously undermine their own subconscious bias. Okay, so they are spiritual rocks. They have no abilities to downplay or regulate their own subconscious bias. She assumes she can do that. I would assume she can, but if she's not aware of that, she will not. It happens to the best. You will not always be 100% aware of what you do or how you perceive information.
And now I want you to welcome the Calgary sisters. They're basically a blueprint of what a lot of people now call TikTok pretty. So their rise on social media is a perfect example of how the algorithm and audience attention often favor conventionally attractive faces, especially when they're paired with a Polish aesthetic and curated lifestyle. Each sister started making TikToks on their own, but when they teamed up, their popularity just exploded. Their videos are mostly synchronized dances, fashion showcases, beauty routines, and lifestyle vlogs. They've got this flawless skin, symmetrical faces, and trendy outfits that fit perfectly into the TikTok pretty mode, and TikTok's algorithm seems to love them for it, pushing their videos to millions of people.
Okay, that's what I've said about the algorithm. The algorithm seems to like them. No, the algorithm is a tool or a method to accomplish something. What is the target that has to be accomplished? TikTok and other social media platforms want you to spend as much time as you can on their platform. So they design an algorithm that pushes content that keeps you longer on the platform. Pretty Privilege causes you to watch more of their videos or go to the other accounts and spend even more time on that. So, for example, a guy that is really into, let's say, World War II gets a ton of World War II content recommended on his YouTube and other social media. Okay? So the algorithm is not a being. As she just said this, the algorithm seems to like it. That's why I said people cannot differentiate, and she can't even, or has not, probably. If she watches this, she will now know the difference or will acknowledge the difference. They will not see the difference between the tool, like the tool of the algorithm, and the algorithm itself. They make the algorithm out to be something that is a physical being or conscious being. Okay? It's just a tool. It's a tool designed by people, and people are the problem. Yeah.
If you're done with your ex, move on to the next. If you're done with your ex.
Their content, fashion hauls, dance trends, beauty routines isn't super new or groundbreaking.
I'm gonna speed up a bit. It's still a bit too slow. My bad.
But because they check TikTok pretty boxes, flawless skin, symmetrical features, styled hair, trendy outfits, they've been able to blow up really fast. And this is where pretty privilege really kicks in. It's not just about being good looking, it's about fitting into a very specific kind of beauty that TikTok loves to promote. And you all
Okay, and now the question is, does TikTok, like, again, TikTok is not a being, it has no conscious thought, okay? TikTok is a tool by social media companies to sell ads to you, okay? And then the algorithm is a way to keep you long on TikTok so they can sell you more ads. Does TikTok actually promote this consciously, or are people just watching this? There are two ways of looking at this. Either someone at TikTok says, okay, we need to design the algorithm to push this because it's somehow profitable. It's probably the Arkansas Razor would say it's profitable because it pushes you to stay longer on the platform and watch more ads or be bombarded with more ads, okay? Secondly is they want to push this because they want to change society in some way. Both is possible, but I think the first one is more realistic because this content already existed in other social medias for a long time, and just the style change, and I don't think they have the need to change the style. They will not profit from that. So I will believe it's the first one. And TikTok is just promoting this because it gives them money, basically.
can see comments on forums and Reddit threads wondering if their success is more about their appearance than the actual content. People aren't necessarily hating, it's just a part of a bigger question. Would they be as popular if they didn't look the way they do? When young people seeing these creators gaining huge followings because of how they look, it can suggest that changing your appearance is the key to success. On top of that, they call
it may give the appearance that changing your appearance is giving you a road to success. I mean, yes and no. There are limits to this. For example, losing weight and living a more healthy lifestyle, so you look more healthy and your hair looks more healthy. It's less, splitty. It doesn't split. Your nails are short. They look clean. You have no dirt like any on your skin. You have no really big amount of pimples or irritations on your skin. Will make you look more healthy, and people want to work, subconsciously want to work with people that are more healthy, because it's being healthy is a sign of prosperity, and prosperity means there had to be success, and people want to be successful, and this is probably an evolutionary adaptation that happened. So more popular people are always or more often the ones that are actually successful.
Their sisters also come from a pretty privileged background. Their dad is a businessman and their mom is literally a fashion designer. So they've had...
That's what I mean. The dad is a businessman and the mother is a fashion designer. So both accomplished people, and that's why they look the way they do. They have the money, they have the resources, and people want to have the money and the resources. And due to parasocial relationships, people will think, or subconsciously will think, if they watch this, they interact with them and get part of the prosperity.
Access to professional styling, expensive clothes. And it's so important because pretty privilege isn't just about looks. It's all about having the resources to maintain and package those looks in a way that appeals to the platform. Their coordinated outfits, glam vibes don't just happen by chance. They're part of a brand, one that's been shaped by both beauty and access. And they definitely...
Access is beauty, and beauty in the modern society gives you access because you can directly conjure up resources from being beautiful and marketing yourself.
Have fans who adore them, especially for their fashion confidence and sister dynamic, but there's also some criticism. Some people feel like their videos lack substance and that they're only being rewarded because they look a certain way. And that right there is where the TikTok pretty privilege conversation really shows up. It's not...
Yeah, and she's right. They are only watched because they are pretty. If you look at other people that make these content, they stop making because they get like 1,000 views and like 100 likes, or they get like 10,000 views and 1,000 likes on the first video, and it exponentially grows larger because they're pretty. That's people don't like ugly people, or they do not like to watch ugly.
Not about whether the sisters are talented or not. It's about how social media often puts appearance above originality, and how that makes it way harder.
And again, she says social media puts. No, people put, and the algorithm reacts according to the way it was designed. Okay? That's what there always seems to be a level of misunderstanding. They are giving these algorithms or the social media platforms a personality or some kinds of conscious thought. And that's the problem, they don't have that.
For creators who don't fit the mold to get noticed. Leah Houghton is another big example. She perfectly shows how beauty standards drive social media success. She fits the classic Western beauty ideals, glowing skin, symmetrical features, full lips, and that soft glam makeup style.
Okay, glowing skin is universal, not Western, but the rest of this, like this shit and this shit is really Western, because depending on the area you are from, this is American slash girl TikTok online or young people online TikTok shit. You know, if you look at Russia or you look at Britain, there are other makeup styles. You know, they're completely different makeup styles depending on the region you're from. Or even black girls, black women, they style themselves hugely different than white women or Western women in general, and they still look good, you know, because some attributes like glowing skin, their skin still glows, it's still clean, it looks good, not depending on the race or the ethnicity of the person.
Style that's all about looking flawless and youthful. Leah's videos are often super simple, just like posing or moving gently to trending music, but they go viral all the time. And that's because TikTok's algorithm loves faces like hers, even if the videos don't have much story or educational value.
Okay, again, the algorithm seems to, so the people seem to, and the algorithm just does what it needs to do. Okay? Again, that's the whole problem. She is probably not aware of that because she, in her social circle or the videos she watches, the algorithm, the social media platforms are always characterized as beings and not actually as tools that are controlled by more powerful people than themselves. Okay, they want to believe the algorithm likes this and we need to change the algorithm, but you cannot change the algorithm because it abuses basic human subconscious biology or mental structures.
And I can't believe the video got 1 billion views for that. And that right there has sparked some debates about TikTok and its crazy bias. How it favors creators who are just pretty even when they're not making the most original or meaningful content. While other creators spend hours writing sketches, making tutorials, or telling stories, Leah's videos ride almost entirely on her looks and vibe. And Leah isn't just lucky, she benefits from this so-called pretty privilege.
Okay. So she says, okay, she profits from this algorithm, and you have to see, we're in a Western market economy, free market economy, that capital economy, you say better. We are in a market capital economy, unlike China, where this is a market economy with state intervention, and the state has goals it wants to achieve via this economy. So on Chinese TikTok, educational content gets pushed more by the algorithm. Means it actually does not adhere to subconscious human biases, but pushes something that is actually advantageous for the state, because having more people that are educated on the natural sciences means we'll have in the long term more scientists or more scientific invention. Okay, that's something the state wants. But TikTok is not state controlled in the West, and so it's primarily made to increase profits for the shareholder.
The algorithm literally rewards her because her face grabs attention fast. And it's not just about her effort or creativity, but this bigger system bias built into digital culture. And it's so wild to think how much of success on TikTok depends on these hidden biases.
There's such a big difference between TikTok pretty and normal pretty, and I'm really worried for the young girls growing up in this digital age and how that's going to affect their self-esteem. Because I am a grown-ass woman, and it still affects my self-esteem. So this is what I would call TikTok pretty. This is what I look like when I post TikTok videos, because this is what people like. This is like how videos get views when I look like this. And then this is what I actually look like. So this filter is just makeup. So if I wear makeup, this is what I look like. I don't look like the prior when I wear makeup. The prior is just a filter to make me look TikTok pretty. This is what I look like. I don't. And then this is what what people like. This is like how videos get views when I look like this. And then this.
The thing is, she looks pretty in both. You know, the one just makes her skin glow way more, but she's pretty in both. Okay, so. Yeah.
This is what I actually look like. So this filter is just makeup. So if I wear makeup, this is what I look like. I don't look like the prior when I wear makeup. The prior is just a filter to make me look TikTok pretty. And I'm pretty confident with how I look in real life, but I can't get myself to post a video like this because people on TikTok don't find this, like, this isn't TikTok pretty, so it's not gonna.
Okay, she can't find herself posting a video like that. Okay. Why not? Because she wants the attention and the social media attention. Or because she thinks she needs to look her best. This is something personal to her. Okay? She is a spiritual rock. The autistic people on the internet, they don't give a fuck what I post. Okay? Or they don't care as much. And we need to acknowledge this, that some people, especially women, will not post themselves if they look bad.
Get views if I post a video looking like this.
And one big issue with the rise of super
Or comparatively bad to themselves.
Polish, conventionally attractive creators like the Caligari sisters or Leah Holton is that it creates a kind of bottleneck on TikTok's discovery system, because the algorithm tends to favor faces and aesthetics that fit this narrow beauty standard, and also pushes these creators to the top over and over again. But what is...
Okay. My TikTok, I actually have none of these people on my video page. Actually none. My TikTok is full of memes and there's sometimes politics content, a bit of that. Yeah.
What does that really mean for everyone else? Like, imagine for a second yourself spending hours crafting clever skits, teaching cool skills, or sharing unique stories, but
the thing is, people crave parasocial relationships, and only the most pretty will profit from these parasocial relationships. That's it.
Still getting lost in the sea of videos because the algorithm keeps pushing those flawless faces front and center. That's not just frustrating, it's actually quite discouraging, and it can make creators feel invisible and quite undervalued.
Okay, the problem is with social media, being pretty has inherent value, if you want it or not. I don't want it to have inherent value. I'm not a pretty guy. I'm a bit on the ugly side. I know how it is, but there's still value you can have. But most people, they are spiritual rocks. They have no huge insights into the human mind. They have no philosophy, like personal philosophy that's particularly interesting and stuff like that. They have no gimmick other than living their life. And they get frustrated because someone else living their life is more pretty than them and can get more attention because they are more pretty than them. She's doing something that is good, because she's making intellectual content or adjacent to intellectual content. She is teaching people about a phenomena and is by that carving out a niche, you know?
And I know that some people at this point might be asking, why this matters even? You know, it's not just unfair for individual creators, it also hurts TikTok as a platform. When the algorithm favors one kind of creator over the other, it reduces the variety of content we see. Social media should be the place where any...
Okay, the problem is, it does not. She's actually wrong with that. The variety of content is not actually affected. They mostly make the same content while just being a different person or being less attractive. That's what you have to understand. People are not actually making different content. There are people making different content and they get recommended to people that like this different content. I don't watch dance videos. I get no dance videos. I watch politics content. Politics content is mostly without face. You know? It's mostly like a picture with some information on it, and then you read the description, and there's a further explanation of what is going on, and then you look at the comments and you see discussions, and you can learn from that. And These dance videos are like, if you look at this, 69,000 likes, 189 comments, 4,839 shares, 613 shares. Okay, on politics content, the ratio to likes, to comments, to shares, to saves is higher. That means, for example, if this had 69,000 likes, there would be at least 10,000 comments, or around 10,000 comments. You know. Also, there would be more saves because people like to react on politics content, especially if it's a real person reading something. And it gets shared more because it's actually interesting. You know, people that like politics content will share more politics content to other people because they like to discuss these ideas. There are no ideas in this. This is just pure mentally dull entertainment.
Anyone can find an audience, no matter their background or appearance. Okay, now let's talk about something that comes up every single time someone speaks about pretty privilege, the gaslighting response. And honestly, it drives me crazy. It
does me too. It does drive me crazy too, and she's 100% right. She should be outraged at that. That people try to gaslight people on privilege is a crime. It's actually so mind-bogglingly insane that people say, no, it doesn't affect me. Why don't you watch that ugly person do the dance? She can dance better. Why don't you do that? Because they want to see a pretty person do that dance.
Is basically when someone tries to make you question your own reality or experiences.
I decided I'm going to start gaslighting you.
You're going to start gaslighting me?
That's not what I said.
You literally just said
you're being dramatic.
But in the context of pretty privilege, it usually sounds like this. You're just jealous. It's not that deep. Everyone struggles. Privilege, it usually sounds like this. You're just
jealous. Okay, you're just jealous. Of course I am. They are getting more attention for being worse than me at something. Imagine that. There are people that can dance really well. What they like, wear clothes so you can't really see themselves. So it's about the dance. Like breakdancers and what are they called? You know, the guys that can hop around really good. They often wear baggy clothes so their faces are not shown because they know, subconsciously at least, that they will not get that much attention if they actually see their faces all the time because the face draws attention. And they want the attention to be on the dance. Imagine you're that guy and someone more pretty does the same dance worse than you in a slower tempo or just doesn't look as clean and they get more attention than you and get more likes and more shares. Of course you would be jealous. You are better than him in that particular field. They are just more pretty. It's normal to be jealous. And it's not a bad thing that you're jealous because you're rightfully outraged that people are spiritual golems that cannot differentiate between the dance being good and the person being pretty.
Jealous. It's not that deep.
It's not that deep. It is that deep because actually people will settle for less if the person is more pretty. That's why it's that deep. I mean, it's not deep in the sense that it's a hard concept to understand, but it is that deep because it affects society and social media in a deeply profound level. Like, it goes really deep.
Everyone struggles.
Everyone struggles, yes, but pretty people do less so.
Just work harder.
Just work harder, but if you're pretty, you have to work less hard.
Maybe you're just bitter because you're not pretty.
Yeah, you have to have a right to be bitter. You actually have a right to be bitter. You're better at something than someone else, and they get more views because they're more pretty. Of course I would be bitter. What the fuck? It's a normal human emotion, and I have a right to be bitter. Because I'm better. I literally do something better. Imagine that. You're a person, you do something better, and someone is more pretty, that's why they get more views. But they're worse than you. You're better than that person in that particular field. But they look better, so they get more attention. Of course I would be better. I'm better. I'm literally objectively better. I would be outraged.
what? Instead of acknowledging the real systemic bias people face for not fitting the beauty standards, the conversation just gets turned around to make you feel like you're the one who has the problem for ever noticing it in the first place. And this is where it gets really dangerous because it makes people feel like crazy or petty for pointing out obvious patterns. If someone shares how differently they were treated before and after the glow up, or how their content gets ignored because they don't look the part, the gaslight response is basically saying, that's not real, you're just insecure.
Exactly. And that's what I want to do. Because pretty people subconsciously know that they get treated different because they're pretty. And they know if this thing would be taken away, or if this subconscious standard would change society, or people would get more aware of that subconscious bias they have on a larger scale, they would actually lose fame because people would watch less of their videos and maybe watch a video that is better in quality than their own, but you're just more, they know that. They subconsciously know that. Some of these know that on a conscious level. So, of course, the response would be to gaslight you, to keep their own position safe.
Totally derails the conversation and invalidates experiences that are backed up by actual trends, actual data, and thousands of similar stories. And here's the truth. The gaslight response doesn't happen because people don't understand what pretty privilege is. It happens because they're uncomfortable acknowledging it. It threatens this idea that social media is a meritocracy, or that we all have equal opportunities if we just try hard.
It is a meritocracy. One of the merits you can earn is being pretty. Or one of the merits that is being judged on as being pretty, because that's what humans do. Yeah, sadly.
Enough. But the truth is, some people can post 3-second videos blinking at the camera and go viral, while others are pouring hours into creative edits and barely get seen. But when you say, hey, maybe this has something to do with the way I look, and people immediately shut you down, it's not a fair debate. And it silences real conversations we actually need to have. When kindness is conditional. Okay, so I want to pause for a second and show you what I actually mean when I say that kindness can be totally conditional. Like, this isn't just a theory that I came up with, it's actually real and it shows up all the time on TikTok. I came across some videos where creators did transformations or glow-ups, and honestly the difference in how people treat them before and after is kind of wild. So I'm gonna react to a few right now and we'll break down what's actually happening.
Get ready with me while I talk about how my life changed after glowing up. Here are the credentials. First, almost everyone treats you better. This includes like workers, professionals, friends, basically everyone. People seem to be like more interested in what you say too, in contrast to before where you're kind of just more invisible. Second is that when you're attractive, it's more acceptable to be weird. So like if you're attractive and weird, you kind of just seem more as quirky, but if you're less attractive and you're weird, you're just seen as more strange.
And this is a perfect example of how society, and especially social media, gives more kindness, more attention, and even basic respect if you meet certain beauty standards.
I hate to break it to y'all, but whether
Yeah. And she's totally right.
you are pretty or ugly in this world, it decides how you are treated. I've spoken about this before and I'm going to do it again because it's like some people don't understand that being considered ugly or like fat and so on really decides whether or not you're treated good or bad in a lot of situations. Why is the world built like this? I couldn't freaking tell you who decided that the way how you look depends on who gets treated like asshole and who doesn't, and who decided who looks bad enough to get treated like asshole and who doesn't. But what I can tell you is pretty privilege definitely exists.
And this is actually so real. You can feel this frustration in the voice. People treat you like you're invisible, and it makes you wonder, where are they even seeing you as a real person in the first place?
Imagine if I told you that this problem is multiple times worse for guys. Okay? Because guys, they don't use makeup. If they use makeup, they are looked at as weak or gay. Or like, oh, you're such a faggot. People will actually say these things. I heard these things said by other people. Like some guy that just wears makeup and he immediately gets called gay and a faggot. Yeah, that's totally true. That happened. And what she doesn't realize is that this problem is really big. There are some guys, some of my friends, they are not attractive. I had one guy at school, he was smart, but he was small, he wasn't that tall, he wasn't that big, he had no much mass, he wasn't like naturally athletic, but he was really smart. Like only had like top grades, like A's and B's, or in Europe 1s and 2s. He was really smart. He was nice. He actually understood you, but he was invisible to the majority of people. Majority of people didn't even look at him when they walked past him. And if you looked at the girls at the school, that they were not smart, they were just pretty. Of course, people will put them in the social circle. Most of these women were downright evil, as we know in high school or advanced school. Some of these women and people actually discussing people that power trip or that actually exclude people, or they get treated nicely because they're pretty, you know?
And it's not just compliments, it's like job offers, networking, or even just people being nicer. And this is the part that messes with your head. Like, is kindness really about character, or is it just about looking the part?
No, being kind is the character, you know? There are people that are naturally kind. I would say I'm a person that is naturally kind and stuff like that. But most people aren't, and they're only kind to people that they like, in quote unquote. But what they mean with like is they look pretty.
So yeah, these videos are funny, frustrating, and honestly a little bit depressing. They show that pretty privilege isn't just about getting free stuff. It's about how people decide who deserves kindness, respect, and even basic human decency. And if that's something we're teaching ourselves and younger users through content like this, that your value goes up only when you look a certain way, that's a big problem.
That's where I agree and don't agree at the same time. We are not actively teaching people this, young people. Young people and people already reacted this way, and you can see what she means is that people actually try to improve their looks by any means necessary because they think it will give them a huge boost. It will not give them a huge boost because looking pretty and being pretty is really hard in the age of social media, and as a guy it's even harder. You know? Being a good looking guy, like a really good looking guy, is such an advantage because women and especially older people will treat you differently. With younger guys, most guys acknowledge this fact that looking the part actually makes people treat you better. Because this bias is acknowledged by a ton of guys. Guys have built a different structure of social hierarchy, not just looking the part. With women, it's how good do you look and how good are you able to present yourself. That's why also there's problem with being kind, as a really good looking autistic girl will get less hate or less harassment than an average looking autistic girl or even a bad looking autistic girl. But a good looking autistic girl will always be outshined and be belittled by a normal girl that is not neurodivergent, and because they will like poke each other out of the game to rise the social ladder. And with guys it's different. It's more of a dominance hierarchy. The biggest guy, the meanest guy, or the smartest guy respectively gets put on the top of the social hierarchy ladder.
I don't think people are evil for doing this. I think that we've just gotten so used to it and we just forget to question it. And this is where everything gets really complicated because young people are watching all of this. And we're talking about 12, 13, 14-year-olds who are forming their identities while scrolling through hundreds of faces that look perfect. It's not just adults romanticizing beauty, it's kids learning that being attractive equals being successful, loved, and valuable. And that kind of message really messes up with your head.
Does it? I mean, yes, it does, but it's a reality. That's the problem. We cannot teach children that reality is not real because we don't like the fact how reality works. Yeah, I mean, I totally understand what she's saying. If we can lead the subconscious bias out of every person on this planet, we would be better off as a society. But this thing is built into us. It's biologically ingrained to us. Even if the cultural standard shifts, there will always be something that is pretty. And people will always treat these things better. Yeah, the perfect example for that is, as an example, a really popular one, you will crush a cockroach but not a butterfly. Because the cockroach is ugly and the butterfly is pretty.
Happens is that your self-worth gets tied to your appearance. That cycle gets repeated. You get obsessed with filters, over-edit your photos, you want some cosmetic surgeries because you want to look young, you develop body image issues, or even eating disorders. And just to close this up, I want to answer the question, why should you care even if you don't fit the pretty mode? Because pretty privilege keeps pushing this narrow unrealistic ideas of what's valuable and successful. When TikTok and other platforms reward just one type of look, it makes millions of people feel like they have to change themselves, sometimes in unhealthy ways, to fit in. Pretty privilege privilege sets up this weird system where worth is too often judged by looks instead of what people actually bring to the table. Their creativity, their personality, authenticity, their talents. At the end of the day, pretty privilege is shaping who gets seen and heard online, but it's not the best way to decide what's valuable. We gotta recognize these biases and support people for who they actually are, not just how they look. So next.
Yes. So with guys, this is actually the case because most guys didn't like pass on their genes on being pretty, but because of being competent. That's the whole huge problem with people, especially women, because women always passed on their genes and men did not, because men kill each other, but they less often kill women, or women kill women less often, and stuff like that. What that means is that men subconsciously have a secondary hierarchy role, like I already explained, and it is really bad for women. That's why women or young girls have so much body issues and guys have less. The guy's body image is, oh, my muscles are not huge enough, or I'm not athletic enough, I'm too fat. With women is, oh, my skin is not pretty enough, my eyes don't look the part, oh, my face is unsymmetric, all of these things. Because in the hierarchy of women, or how women are treated, is really about looks. It's way more about looks than it is for men. Men also suffer from this, especially in dating and with older people, but not in their own social group or their own age group. Women, it's universal across all age groups and all social groups, how they are treated based on their looks. And for men, it's worse, like multiple times worse, across other social and age groups except their own. Like 16 to 24-year-old man will get treated differently by his own peers, his own age, than by older people. Because really privilege does not like grip in that hard on their own, But with women, it does not. That's why it's a huge problem for women, and that's why it's important that people like her actually talk about this problem.
Next time you scroll through TikTok, try to notice who's getting the spotlight and why. And if you see someone breaking the mold, someone with a different look or vibe, give them some chance, give them a like, subscribe. Your attention can help change the...
Yeah, okay, that's a whole video. To conclude, yes, pretty privilege is an issue. Please acknowledge the difference between what's a tool or a method and the actual being, like she did over and over again, and something that just happened, Her video was good. I liked it. I put a like there. I mean, if you like her content, you should probably subscribe to her channel. This video was completely unscripted. That's why it may seem disjointed. I just wanted to record this video to get my thoughts out there. If you like this content, or if you want me to make videos like this, I will probably use a script in the future, but I did not like to do this for this video because it's so one-off in my head. That's it. Bye.